My identity is Brooke Tanner. I am 32, a data specialist scraping my path back following a tough separation. I believed I had witnessed disloyalty, yet nothing prepared me for what my father did. Last Christmas, while I was attempting to maintain my composure at a relative's gathering, I used my sibling's mobile to verify a message. That is when I noticed it, an update on my father's social network gazing at me directly like a hit. If you could delete one individual from our relatives, ought it to be Brooke. She is unsuccessful in her profession and her marriage. My spirit dropped. The remarks were more severe. My mother, my elder sister, even relatives' acquaintances, they all contributed, tearing me to pieces. She has constantly been a letdown once stated. We would improve without her, a different person included. I remained there motionless, my palms trembling. How might my own dad do this? My own kin voting to eliminate me like I was insignificant. I had invested years reconstructing my existence, obtaining independent agreements, demonstrating myself only to have them shame me in front of numerous individuals online. It was not simply an update. It lost me a customer, an arrangement I had laboured months to obtain. I might have collapsed, yet something broke within me. I was not going to permit them to escape with it. This is my account. A genuine tale of how I retaliated and educated them a lesson they would always remember: never interfere with me. Leave a remark and inform me what you would do if your relatives deceived you like this. Press subscribe if you think nobody should break you down, particularly not your own kin. After my separation, I devoted everything into my occupation, yet my family never recognised my attempts. I thought I had finally discovered my footing within Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The writing on my separation documents was hardly dry when I immersed myself into my role as a data specialist. I passed innumerable late evenings processing figures, constructing panels for customers, and pursuing independent contracts to demonstrate I could support myself. Securing a significant undertaking with a nearby new company felt like a triumph, $10,000 inside my pocket, and an opportunity to rebuild my existence. I was not simply enduring. I was scraping my path upward, resolved to demonstrate the world I would not be characterised by an unsuccessful union. Yet regardless how intensely I laboured, my relatives perceived me as the outsider. My dad, Robert Tanner, a former financier with a talent for command, never allowed me to forget it. "Why cannot you resemble more your elder sister?" he would state, over Sunday meals, his voice keen as a blade. My elder sister, Lauren Tanner, 35, was the favoured child of independent reporter whose credits in regional newspapers made father glow with satisfaction. Lauren possessed a method of displaying her achievement, mentioning anecdotes regarding her most recent piece or connecting occasion while I remained there faking a grin. Brooke, comma. Perhaps if you attempted more intensely, you would achieve somewhere. She once stated, her inflection saturated with sympathy. I would stay silent, understanding disputing was futile. My mother, Susan Tanner, was not any better. At 58, she had left from instructing and passed her days indulging Lauren. When I secured that large agreement, I contacted Mother, wishing for a fragment of a claim. "That is pleasant, darling," she stated, preoccupied before beginning into how Lauren's newest work was so motivating. I felt unseen. Even my sibling Noah Tanner, 28, a computer programmer who typically avoided the theatrics, would dismiss when I complained, "That is simply how they are." He would state, browsing through his mobile. I tried to ignore it, telling myself relatives were supposed to be intricate, yet the persistent contrasts ached. Maturing, comma. It was not constantly like this. Father previously called me his tiny specialist, satisfied when I would resolve arithmetic puzzles at the kitchen surface. Yet after Lauren began accumulating honours in secondary school, his attention moved. By the period I was in college learning computer science, Father's commendation was saved for Lauren's journalism diploma. When my marriage collapsed 3 years back, he did not even call, simply delivered a text stating, "You will determine it out." Mother repeated his apathy, while Lauren gave insincere guidance, like perhaps concentrate on your profession instead of seeing someone. I felt like a stranger in my own family, always struggling to demonstrate I was sufficient. The most terrible portion, Father's fixation with perceptions. He had constructed a standing within Baton Rouge as an esteemed financier, constantly organising community functions or posting about family ideals on social networks. His account, with 2,000 followers, acquaintances, previous co-workers, locals, was his pride and delight. He would share pictures of Lauren's pieces or mother's vegetation, yet not once reference my occupation. I would see his updates and sense a sting, questioning why I was not worthy of boasting about. Once I remarked on his page, sharing a hyperlink to a panel I had constructed for a customer. His answer: "Good attempt, Brooke. Good attempt," like I was a child with an involvement award. I kept advancing, though. My flat within Baton Rouge was tiny, yet mine purchased with my own cash. I would stay up late polishing my abilities, taking internet classes to stay current in a competitive field. My customers enjoyed my work, tidy, exact, dependable. One even stated I would rescue their new company from a poor venture, with my examination. Those instants kept me going, even when relatives' meals felt like entering a lion's enclosure. I would sit there hearing father commend Lauren's newest highlight, or mother rave about charity work, while my accomplishments were met with quiet or sarcastic comments. Reflecting, "I should have noticed the signals." Father quote, "S requirement to manage the story, mother's unquestioning devotion to Lauren. Even Noah's quiet detachment, they were all accumulating to something." I kept wishing for an alteration a minute, where they would see me for whom I was, not whom I was not. Yet each discussion left me more alone, like I was yelling into emptiness. I did not know then that their bitterness was about to overflow in a manner I had never envisioned, in a manner that would force me to retaliate more intensely than I had ever done before. The Christmas gathering at my parents' house started cheerfully, yet I soon realised I was not welcomed. I entered their expansive Baton Rouge residence, the atmosphere dense with the fragrance of fir and spice, anticipating an evening of forced smiles and trivial conversation. I had prepared myself for the usual family strain, yet nothing could have prepared me for how malicious it would become. Anna, father, always the focal point, was commanding attention in the lounge, his voice thundering as he narrated his triumphant times as a financier. Lauren sat close by, tasting wine and agreeing along her arrogant smirk, a quiet provocation. Mother hurried about performing the ideal hostess, her giggles sounding out whenever Lauren spoke. I stood on the edges, grasping a cup of holiday drink, sensing like a visitor at my own family's event. It did not take long for the insults to begin. As we settled for supper, father rotated to me, his eyes shining, so Brooke still processing digits for those small startups. He questioned, his inflection filled with superiority. I forced a nod, referencing a recent undertaking I had secured. "It is a major thing for me," I stated, hoping for a glimmer of endorsement. Lauren sneered. "Major thing, composing pieces that truly get read, is a major thing," she stated, flipping her head. The table burst in snickers, and mother tapped Lauren's hand, smiling. "Your elder sister's newest work was so emotional," mother stated, not even looking my direction. I clenched my utensil, my face heating, yet I suppressed the impulse to answer back. The jabs kept arriving. Father reclined, smirking. "Brooke, perhaps if you had selected an actual profession like Lauren, you would not be restarting following that separation. My abdomen churned. The term separation lingered in the atmosphere, and I sensed every gaze on me, nephews and relatives, acquaintances, all feigning not to hear. Lauren added on, her voice sweet. "I mean, certain individuals simply are not suited for marriage or achievement." I desired to shout to inform them I'd just locked in a $10,000 agreement, yet the term stuck in my neck. Mother shifted the topic, raving about Lauren's fresh section, while I remained there unseen again. I required a pause. Apologising, I moved into the corridor, my torso constricted. My brother Noah was stretched on a sofa, browsing through his mobile as usual. "May I use that to verify a message?" I requested, desperate for a diversion. He dismissed, passing it over without glancing upward. I opened the message application, yet an alert captured my attention. A social network notification from father's account. Interested, I selected. My blood went frigid. There it was, an update from Robert Tanner, my own dad, gazing at me directly. "If you could remove one individual from our relatives, ought it to be Brooke. And she is unsuccessful in her profession and her marriage." My palms shook as I browsed through the comments Mother had written. She has constantly been a letdown. Lauren included families improve without pulling us downward. Even relatives, acquaintances contributed. Yeah, she is somewhat a disaster. I stood frozen, the light of the mobile scorching my vision, my own relatives openly tearing me apart. Father's account with thousands of followers. His previous co-workers are locals, individuals. I had known my entire existence was a platform for their brutality. I selected again, observing more remarks accumulate, each one a blade. Brooke never became organised. One red dot. She is the fragile connection, another stated. I felt like I was suffocating the celebratory discussion from the eating area, fading into a muted boom. My pulse raced, my brain whirling with inquiries. Why would Father do this? Why would Mother and Lauren participate? Even Noah had appreciated the update, though he had not remarked. I returned his mobile, my voice hardly a murmur. Thank you, I stated, departing my limbs unstable. I did not challenge them, not immediately. I could not yet. As I stood there alone in the corridor, something altered inside me. This was not simply a relative's argument. This was a disloyalty I would make them accountable for. I sat in my vehicle, my mobile glowing with proof I could not unsee. The silent parking area within Baton Rouge felt like a sanctuary from the disorder I had just fled. My palms trembled as I opened the social network application, my digits rushing to record each bit of that open assault. I captured images of the update and each remark, storing them to a directory I labelled proof. My torso tightened with each press, knowing these terms were not simply brutal, they were losing me. A customer had terminated me last week. A $5,000 independent agreement vanished with an ambiguous message about worries over trustworthiness. Now I saw the link. That update, distributed with thousands of followers, locals, Dad's previous co-workers, individuals I had matured around, was not simply a relatives' battle. It was destruction. I required somebody to stabilize me. I called my closest companion, Hannah Rhodes, a 33-year-old HR supervisor who had constantly been my voice of logic. It was late yet, Hannah replied swiftly. Brooke, what is the issue? She questioned, detecting the sharpness in my quiet. I explained everything, not the gathering specifics, yet the pain of what I had discovered on Noah's mobile. They are destroying me online, Hannah. It is open, and it has already injured my occupation. I lost a customer because of it. My voice trembled, yet I kept it firm. Hannah did not hesitate. That is defamation, clear and straightforward. She stated, her inflection pointed. You can prosecute. That kind of open update harming your standing. It is justiciable. You require an attorney who understands privacy legislation. Her term struck me like a rescue line. Sue my own relatives. It felt like a jump, yet the more I considered it, the more it made sense. This was not simply an individual betrayal, it was an assault on my income broadcast to a system of individuals who knew me. Hannah continued on. I know a lawyer within Baton Rouge, Marcus Cooper. He keen focuses on defamation lawsuits. I will send you his digits. I breathed out, thankful for her lucidity. Hannah, I do not even know where to begin, I confessed. You begin by fighting back, she stated firmly. You have laboured too intensely to permit this go. After we disconnected, Hannah's message arrived through Marcus Cooper's contact information. I stored it, my brain racing, yet concentrated. I retrieved my laptop, the faint street lamp barely lighting the display. I began arranging, transferring images into a file. I included annotations, the update's time marker, the quantity of views already above 1,000, and the identities linked to each remark. I excavated through my messages, locating the one from the customer who withdrew. Recent worries regarding your professionalism. It read, delivered hours following the update went active. That was my verification. The connection between their terms and my loss. I constructed a chronology starting with when I used Noah's mobile and seen the alert. Each detail was important. It was nearly 1 a.m. when I shut my laptop. My eyes burned, yet a quiet power stabilized within me. This was not about resolving debts. It was about making them answerable. Father believed he could express his bitterness to the globe without outcome. Lauren's arrogance. Mother's involvement, even Noah's minor part they all totalled up. I was not the collapse they desired everybody to think. I had reconstructed my existence. Fought for each agreement, each stride ahead. As I started the vehicle, the motor's buzz matched the determination growing inside me. They had crossed a boundary, and I was finished permitting them to step over me. I was prepared to bring this battle to the subsequent stage. Back within my Baton Rouge flat, I sat at my kitchen counter, the burden of my choice pushing downward. I had invested hours arranging proof, yet before escalating, I desired to offer my relatives an opportunity to repair their disorder. I opened our relatives group conversation, me father, Mother Lauren and Noah, and entered a message my digits stable despite the fury bubbling inside. I saw the update. It is open, it is harmful, and it is incorrect. Remove it now and share an open apology, or I will bring this further. I pressed transmit, gazing at the screen, awaiting an answer that might save something. Robert answered first within minutes. It was merely a prank, Brooke. Do not create a major issue from it. A prank. My profession was taking strikes, and he named it a prank. Lauren contributed next, her message saturated with scorn. You are behaving excessively sensitively. It is merely social networks move past it. Mother did not react at all. Her quiet, louder than any remark. Noah sent an individual message. I did not intend to harm you. I merely appreciated the update. It was something yet not sufficient. I read their messages again. My jaw tightened. They were not apologetic. They were intensifying. That was it. I was not pleading for regard anymore. I contacted Marcus Cooper, the attorney Hannah suggested. His workplace was a tiny direct configuration within downtown Baton Rouge, and he consented to meet me the following morning. At 9 a.m, I entered my laptop and a directory of printed images in hand. Marcus. A slender man within his 40s with a keen look, heard as I presented the scenario. My father posted something online that ruined my standing, I stated, sliding the images across his desk. It lost me an independent agreement, and I am certain it is not finished creating harm. Marcus scanned the proof, his forehead wrinkling. This is classic defamation. He stated open, untrue declarations creating harm to your standing. Within Louisiana, we can construct a lawsuit if you possess verification of losses. I possess that verification. I opened a message from the customer who terminated me a $5,000 undertaking for a regional new company. The message, dated hours following Robert's update, referenced worries regarding your professionalism as the purpose for withdrawing. I showed Marcus an additional message, this one from a prospective customer who had gone silent after initially contacting. I was supposed to present them next week, I informed him, yet they ceased replying. Following the update gained attention. Marcus nodded, taking notes. We will require more, yet this is a powerful beginning. Social network updates like this, particularly with his followers, can create genuine harm. Let us file a defamation lawsuit against your father. The term lawsuit felt heavy, yet I did not hesitate. What do we require? I questioned. Marcus described the procedure of formal grievance, more proof of harm, and a demand letter to Robert before filing. Back home, I plunged into collecting more verification. I searched through my inbox, locating a third message from a co-worker who had questioned, "Is everything all right?" Saw certain material online. That was new, a blow to my occupational network. I located images of the update's involvement, over 1,500 views, dozens of shares. I contacted another customer, a tiny enterprise proprietor I had collaborated with, who verified she had seen the update via a shared contact. It did not appear positive. She confessed her inflection regretful. Each bit of proof fueled my resolve. I was not simply battling for me. I was battling for the existence I had constructed. Robert believed he could dismiss me as a collapse, yet I had invested years demonstrating him incorrect. Securing contracts, reconstructing following my separation. Lauren's conceit, Mother's quiet, even Noah's weak apology, they were not going to halt me. I laboured late into the night organising my case, messaging Marcus upgrades. He returned a draft of the demand letter, formal and straightforward, commanding Robert to eliminate the update and issue an open apology or encounter lawful action. I read it, my pulse constant. This was my boundary. By Monday morning, I had sent the demand letter via Marcus's workplace. I did not anticipate Robert to obey. He had already named it a prank. Yet I had given them an opportunity, and they had thrown it back in my face. As I sealed the envelope with my final proof from Marcus, I sensed a change. This was not about relatives anymore, it was about responsibility. They had attempted to remove me, yet I was finished being unseen. I was prepared to confront them in court and make them answer for what they had done. A month later, the Christmas gathering, I stood in a courtroom confronting my relatives for the final occasion. The Baton Rouge courthouse was chilly, its timber benches groaning under the burden of strain. I straightened my jacket, my palms stable as I sat next to Marcus Cooper, my attorney. Across the space, Robert sat stiff, his jaw fixed, declining to meet my gaze. Mother twitched beside him, her face strained with unease. Lauren, arms folded, glared at me from the rear row, while Noah slumped, looking everywhere. Except at me. The judge, a severe lady with sharp eyes, summoned the lawsuit. My spirit pounded, yet I was prepared. Marcus stood displaying our proof with accuracy. He exhibited the images, the updates, condemning terms projected on a screen for everyone to see. This open declaration by Robert Tanner created quantifiable harm to Brooke's occupational standing. He stated his voice clear. He displayed the message from my customer who had cancelled a $5,000 agreement hours following the update became widespread. This was not simply a relative's disagreement, Marcus proceeded. It was an intentional assault, viewed by thousands, costing Miss Tanner her income. I glanced at Robert, anticipating some indication of shame, yet he just gazed forward, unbending. When it was his turn, Robert stood, his voice calm, yet resistant. It was a harmless update intended to ignite conversation, he stated. I did not believe it would harm anybody. The judge lifted an eyebrow, unimpressed. Marcus responded, displaying the involvement statistics, over 2,000 views, shares, dispersing the update beyond Baton Rouge. You did not believe an open assertion of collapse would harm your child. Marcus pressed. Robert stumbled, mumbling about overstatement, yet the judge's expression solidified. I sensed a flicker of hope, yet it did not erase the pain of his refusal to yield. The hearing concluded without a verdict, the judge requiring time to evaluate. I left the courtroom, my limbs heavy, yet my resolve undamaged. Outside, my mobile buzzed incessantly. Lauren's message arrived first, poisonous and sharp. You are so selfish, Brooke, pulling us through this for your pride. Mother's call followed her voice, quiet and blaming. How could you do this to your father? Following everything we have done for you, you are so unappreciative. I heard my neck constricted, yet did not answer. Their terms felt like reverberations of the update, intensifying on their contempt. I disconnected, staring at the courthouse steps, questioning if I had ever been part of their relatives at all. Noah caught up with me within the parking area, his face ashen. Brooke, I aired. He stated, his voice barely above a murmur. Appreciating that update, I did not believe it would explode like this. I am regretful. His eyes met mine, authentic remorse in them. I will support you whatever you require. I nodded, a lump in my neck. Thank you, Noah, I stated gently. It was not absolution, not immediately, yet it was a fracture in the barrier between us. He shuffled away, leaving me alone with my reflections. Back at my flat, I replayed the day. Robert's obstinate protection, Lauren's poison. Mother's allegations, they had not altered. They perceived me as the issue, the one who dared to fight back. Yet Noah's apology remained a tiny glimmer of hope within the destruction. I opened my laptop, examining the proof again, including annotations from the hearing. Marcus had alerted me the lawsuit could extend, yet I was not yielding. That update had lost me an agreement to customers' trust and years of striving to demonstrate my value. I was not simply battling for cash, I was battling for my identity, my existence. As I sat there, my mobile buzzed again. An additional message from Lauren. You will regret this, Brooke. I did not answer. Their terms could not harm me anymore, not like they previously did. I had stood in that courtroom, confront their judgment, and walked outside stronger. Whatever arrived next, I would confront it on my conditions. Not theirs. This was not about succeeding or losing. It was about supporting myself, something they would never comprehend. Following the trial, my relatives believed they could compel my quiet, yet I was prepared to reveal the reality. The burden of the previous week's courthouse steps' murmured allegations pushed me to act. I could not permit their story win. I signed into a regional Baton Rouge community forum, an online centre where locals and enterprise proprietors exchanged tales and views. My digits paused above the keyboard, then began typing. I presented my account, the open assault that lost me an agreement, the lawsuit I had filed, and a reality I had kept concealed for years. Robert had constantly portrayed himself as a pillar of honesty. A former financier turned tiny enterprise proprietor. Yet I disclosed what he had hidden from his followers. 2 years back, he had persuaded me to contribute $10,000 within his hardware shop, pledging a portion of the earnings. It is a relative's endeavour. He had set his voice heated with reassurance. I had trusted him, gathering together each penny from my independent income. Yet the earnings never arrived. Month following month, Robert avoided my inquiries with justifications: sluggish revenue, poor timing, unanticipated expenditures. I had permitted it go, wishing for sincerity, yet now I saw it for what it was, another disloyalty. I posted the specifics, including messages where he had pledged reimbursement never completed. I pressed publish, my pulse constant, yet my abdomen tight. The forum detonated within hours. Remarks poured in, residents stunned at Robert's deceit. I purchased from his shop for years, never knew he would do this, one user composed. Another, a previous customer of mine, included Brooks' work is reliable. Tanner, quote, the one who appears dubious now. The reaction increased with posts criticising my relative's duplicity. Somebody labelled Lauren, whose refined online image as a reporter crumbled under examination. Your elder sister's no angel, either a commenter noted, citing her part within the slander. Mother's quiet online did not save her. Users condemned her for supporting Robert. Noah remained quiet, his apology still new within my mind. By morning, my post had thousands of views. Regional enterprise proprietors certain I had collaborated with shared it, increasing the anger. A journalist from a Baton Rouge news outlet contacted me requesting for a discussion. I refused. I did not require more attention, just accountability. Yet the strain was on my relatives now. Robert, quote, S shop already, striving encountered boycotts from regulars who had read my post. A local messaged me stating she had ceased purchasing there after learning the reality. The community's reply was not just confirmation, it was a judgment. My mobile buzzed with alerts, yet I disregarded most. Lauren sent a message, her terms sharp. You are destroying father's enterprise just to perform victim. I did not answer. Mother left a voice message, her inflection frigid. This is Base Brooke. Expressing relatives matters like this, you have gone too far. I erased it, their accusations no longer holding significance. Noah called his voice uncertain. I saw your post, he stated. I comprehend why you did it. I am not angry. His backing, tiny as it was, felt like a rescue line within the tempest I had released. I sat back, staring at the forum's expanding thread. This was not about vengeance. It was about reclaiming my voice. For years I had permitted Robert's pledges, Lauren's insults, and Mother's detachment characterize me. No more. I composed a final declaration for the forum, my palms stable. I am finished permitting my relatives' falsehoods form my story, I wrote. I have severed connections with them, not because I desired to, yet because they left me no selection. I posted it the terms, a proclamation of liberation. The community's reply was incredibly supportive messages, offers to link me with new customers. A regional independent even asked me to a connecting occasion, an opportunity to rebuild what Robert's actions had harmed. As I shut my laptop, a burden rose. The $10,000 was gone, yet so was the grip my relatives had over me. I had revealed their reality, not just for me, yet for anybody they might harm next. Robert's shop might endure, yet his standing would not. Lauren's profession would take a strike, and Mother's quiet would torment her. Noah was the sole link left delicate, yet present. I did not know what arrived next, yet I would confront it without their shadow over me. I had selected my own route, and I was not looking backward. 6 months later, I stood firm on my own, no longer tied by my old relatives. The Baton Rouge sunlight filtered through my new apartment's windows, a tiny yet brilliant area I had made my own. The tempest of the previous year had settled, leaving behind a changed globe. Robert's post, previously an open injury, had disappeared from the internet, erased under strain from the lawsuit's aftermath. The regional banking organisation, where he had held sway as a former financier, issued an official condemnation for his unethical behaviour online, removing the regard he had clutched to. Locals who previously welcomed him warmly now crossed the road to evade him, his hardware shop almost vacant most days. Susan and Lauren encountered their own judgment. The community forum I had posted on continued to hum with threads analysing their parts within the slander. Mother quote, "As quiet previously, a protection became a stain against her." Residents named her involved, her social requests diminishing. Lauren's meticulously maintained persona as a reporter fractured under the burden of open scrutiny. Her co-workers distanced themselves, and her credits showed up less often, her identity stained by association. The Baton Rouge social environment, close-bonded and unforgiving, had rotated its back on them both. Noah, though, had remained faithful to his word, contacting quietly his backing, a stable existence. I had passed those 6 months reconstructing fragment by fragment. Hannah had been my foundation, meeting me for coffee weekly, her pointed guidance cutting through my uncertainties. "You are not simply enduring, Brooke, you are flourishing," she would set a grin out. If you like the story, please don't forget to like and subscribe.